All right, this video is going to continue discussion of prejudice and discrimination and stereotypes. And now I'm going to talk about how prejudice might form. And so one thing that we need to talk about is the distinction between in-groups and out-groups, and to understand how we come to think in terms of in-groups and out-groups. So what is an in-group? An in-group is a group that you belong to. That is your in-group. If you are a New Orleans Saints fan for football, that's your in-group. If you meet someone who is a fan of the Atlanta Falcons, they are in the out-group. They are not in your in-group. All right, that's just one of the many ways that we can form an in-group or an out-group. So an in-group, this refers to a group you belong to, and also we have the tendency for people to favor. You like people in your group, to favor their own group positions and members. So if you meet somebody and they say, hey, I am a Falcons fan, but you're a Saints fan, you're like, oh, I thought I might like you, but now I don't. You know, even if it's not, in a drastic manner, you think of them more favorably if they are in your group, if that, you have that in common. One thing I'll see is one time I got a t-shirt from another university that I never attended as a gift one year, and I was just wearing it to go to the supermarket one night. It was like your comfy, pajama type shirt for me. And somebody saw it and they went, they got all excited. They're like, I went there. Did you go there? And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't go there. I know nothing about this school. I just happened to get this shirt as a gift. And they're like, oh, you can tell they're let down. Like, I was thinking all these really cool things about you, that, you'd be my friend, because, we were in that group together. We're in the in-group. And so prejudice might develop out of this tendency, that the tendency to favor members of the in-group. So you have more dislike, more negative attitudes towards members of the out-group. So the out-group, the tendency for people to dislike people who are viewed as outside their own group. So prejudice can develop simply because you have these negative feelings towards people who aren't in your group. The groups can be based on anything. They can be based on things like race. They can be based on what language you speak, what country you're from, what religion you belong to, your personal beliefs, your political affiliation. Anything could lead to group formation. In fact, one classic study having to do with in-group and out-group formation is a study known as the Robbers Cave study, conducted by a researcher named Sharif. And what he did is he took schoolboys, I think they were about 11 years old, somewhere in that age range, and they were sent to a summer camp. And they were separated into two groups, and they got to name their groups, and they got to choose a name. One group named themselves the Rattlers, like rattlesnakes. Another group named themselves the Eagles. And at first they were kept separate, but eventually they came together, got to meet the other group. And what they found is very easily members of one group had negative attitudes, negative conceptions of the other group. And they came together for like a field day type of event, a competition day, and they were trash talking the other members of the group. Even though the groups were formed randomly, these were equivalent groups of boys, but they were acting like the other group was awful, our group is amazing, and it happened fairly quickly. If you want to know more about that study, it's discussed in further detail in the social psychology course that's taught on campus, and possibly some other courses. The short version of the result: they formed positive feelings about their group very quickly, and negative feelings about the other group also very quickly. They were able to figure out ways to reduce the negative thinking and the grouped thinking. A lot of them had to do with getting them to work together towards shared goals. All right, so again, you could learn a lot more about that study. That's just one study that's associated with these topics. All right, now the next things that I'm going to have to talk about, they are also things that you can go into a lot more detail about. But in the next video, I'm going to give a brief explanation and definition of some other terms like scapegoat theory, realistic conflict theory, and the just world phenomenon.